So a major injury blow ahead of the match tomorrow against Malmo. Welcome to your Forest News. Hi guys, hope you're doing well and welcome to your latest Forest News. Coming up, I'm going to give you all the details on a big injury blow, a couple of updates on other injuries, and a few things that Sean Dyche had to say in his presser ahead of the Malmo game. So if you're enjoying the content, as always, please don't forget to hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed as well if you're new to Forest Fan TV. And we have a transfer video coming out later on today over on Patreon. Yes, I know it's not even the transfer window, but make sure you go check that out if you want to support us on there. Thank you to all the Patreon legends that are supporting on there. There's an extra video out there every week for you guys, so click on the link that's pinned in the comments. Okay, so let's start with the breaking news. Gibbs-White is out for tomorrow's game. Now, we don't know what the injury is, but Sean Dyche has said that it's a minor injury and he should be back relatively soon. Does that mean in time for Brighton? I don't know. But his words were that, let's have a look here. It's a minor injury and hopefully he can shake it off, basically, is what he has had to say. Now, is this a good or a bad thing? I would have said 3 weeks ago, you know what? You don't want your players injured, but it may give a chance for the likes of McAtee to step in the fold and show what he can do, because he hasn't, one, had many chances, and two, the ones he's had, I gotta say, he hasn't exactly performed what I would expect of him. But Gibbs-White's form in the last few weeks has been very, very good. 3 goals in 3 games, should have been 4 in 4 had he scored the penalty against Graz. But I don't want any injuries, and I actually like how he's playing at the moment. I think he's simplified his game. He's cut out the flicks and the tricks. He's cut out the silly mistakes on the edge of our own box that have cost us goals. And I think he's been linking the play quite well. So hopefully this is just one that come Sunday, he's ready for the Brighton game, because I think we will need him. I remember back to last season's game against Brighton where we thrashed them 7-0, and I thought he was quite pivotal in that game. So that's the Gibbs-White news. I think it's a bit of an injury blow. I personally, though, wouldn't have started him tomorrow just to give him a little respite. So maybe they were planning for it anyway, if they think how I think. But Gibbs-White confirmed out. Now, the other ones to bring you up to speed on, Ola Aina is still not back in training with the first team. He's still with the medical staff, but is making progress. The one that's starting to come up that pecking order is Bakwa. Bakwa's getting closer, coming back to fuller fitness. They still haven't said exactly what the injury is, but expect him back shortly as well. Callum Hudson-Odoi is fully fit and ready for this game, and Chris Wood will still be out as well. So they're the main injuries that we're going to miss out on for tomorrow and probably for the next week or two or so. So that's the injury news. Now, in terms of other stuff that was being talked about, it was quite interesting because they had Callum Hudson-Odoi as the player. So remember, when it comes to European pre-match interviews, there's always the manager plus one picked player. And this week it was Callum Hudson-Odoi. And they're asking him the same questions that you would expect them to ask players. How's it been? How's it going? You know, all that usual stuff. What I'm finding quite interesting is the way they're saying stuff without saying stuff. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about Ange Postecoglou. Both him and Sean Dyche were talking about connections, about kind of atmosphere, those subtle ways they were saying it. Now, they weren't being disrespectful at all to Ange Postecoglou, but they kept using the words connections and how connections look like they're back on track. Hudson-Odoi was saying how the connections felt more like they were last season than they did at the start of this season. Now, this isn't probably just about Ange Postecoglou. This will be about how Nuno left, because those connections were created with Nuno in charge. Therefore, you would expect there to be a strong affinity between the players and Nuno because of what they achieved last season and because, of the feel-good factor of the wins, getting Europe and everything else. So I think Ange Postecoglou came into a situation where things were in a bit of a shock position. It's like, oh crap, Nuno's gone. And then Ange is Ange, isn't he? And he's got his big personality, and it just seemed to have stretched, was the word they were using, the connections. So they were saying a lot of good things. And they're saying in terms of the atmosphere now, there's a lot of good things, and it's starting to feel more so how it did last season. And I have to say, I agree. because we're seeing it on the pitch now. The back four is looking like the back four. The work rate, the effort rate, and everything like that is starting to look like what we saw last season. And the results are starting to look a bit more like we saw last season. I think a lot of credit does have to go to Dyche for that, because he's kind of coming in, and I think he's just looked back at last season and thought, right, how do I get them into that mode? Let's not make it about me. Let's make it about them. Let's make it about the club, because they were talking about obviously the 79 Cup final. He's been very respectful to it, to the ex-players and everything else. And even the more recent one, I say recent, but the one where Forest went through under Frank Clark and Ian Wone scored in the away leg, etc. So there's a lot of good vibes going on at the moment. But these good vibes will mean nothing if we don't get the 3 points. Forest should be. I think this atmosphere is going to be electric come tomorrow night, with the history behind the game and everything else. And Forest and the players need to use that to really, really push through, get the 3 points, and put us in this good headspace, which I think we're really close to getting in, or cementing, I think would be the right word for it. So there's a lot of good signs. Things do feel a lot different to how they did about a month ago when Andrew was going, when we just lost to Chelsea, when it was all about what he did at Spurs and how Spurs screwed him over, how he won a trophy, and I always win a trophy in my second year and all that stuff. That feels like a lifetime ago now. So I'm hopeful of a good win here, despite the likes of Gibbs-White being out, with Chris Wood not being out as well. I think Igor Jesus is going to step up, and I'm actually looking forward to the game tomorrow, and that's credit to Dyche. Yes, he's not my choice for manager, but I can't fault what he's doing right now. Forest have only lost 1 game in 6 matches, hopefully 1 game in 7 come tomorrow, and then 1 in 8, 1 in 9 by the time we get to Wolves. So things are looking on the up, but there is always that voice in the back of my head that when things start to go well at Forest, there's always a drama around the corner, but hopefully not this time. So the team I think we will see is roughly the one I put on the video yesterday, because I didn't have Gibbs-White in that one, looking to rest him. I still think we will see Ryan Yates and Callum Hudson-Odoi starting, and maybe a little rotation at the back to freshen up some of the players. I'm not sure what he's going to do with Elliot Anderson and Nico Williams. Those two are the ones I'm most worried about, because they've played a lot of games. If there's a way to get them to rotate, even if they just play for the first half and we can get a few goals in that, I think that would be ideal. But I do worry about their long-term fitness with the crazy amount of games those two have played. So get your score predictions in. Go check the video out from yesterday. And if you want to see a transfer video, there'll be one up later this afternoon on Patreon. So scan the QR code or click on the link. Please make sure you've hit the like, make sure you're subscribed, and we'll see you tomorrow, because it will be tomorrow, not like I said on yesterday's video, for the Forest game against Malmo. Come on, you Reds.